Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, and when I'm not fleeing for my life from zombies by hiding up in the abandoned second floor of my mall's JCPenney, I'm here at the Oaks Dead Mall RiffViewing movies. So, okay, it seems like over the course of running this mall, I may have accidentally triggered a zombie apocalypse. Super sorry about that, folks. I know you're most worried about my safety, though, and for now, I'm fine. I was able to escape the zombies when they finally broke into the mall, but I lost Goulash along the way when we got swarmed near the original style Spencer's Gifts. He's probably dead now. I'm gonna miss that little guy.
Sir, I managed to make it here.
Oh, cool, great. Wait, didn't we get separated? Where did you go?
Oh, I needed to make a stop at the restroom and take a leak. It's kind of weird, actually. For some reason, the zombies didn't seem to want to attack me.
That's because you are a zombie.
I'm not a zombie.
R2.
Am not.
R2.
Am not.
R2.
Am not times infinity.
Oh, well, fine. If you're so smart, why don't you go use your mysterious zombie immunity to go outside and find us some help out of this mess?
All right, I'll try my best.
While Goulash is away, hopefully getting killed, and because I've lost track of how many days have passed, I'm going to assume it's still February, and that means Deaduary continues with yet another video on a Return of the Living Dead movie. This time, my review of the fourth entry in this zombie series, Return of the Living Dead Necropolis, released in 2005 and directed by Ellery El-Kayem, best known for directing Eight-Legged Freaks and the Second Without a Paddle movie. We all saw that one, right? Zombie movies died out in popularity for a while in the 90s, but the popularity of the Resident Evil games, and by extension, their very loose movie adaptations, played a key role in bringing zombies back to pop culture relevance in the 21st century.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
And the surprise success of 28 Days Later in 2002 sealed the deal, leading to a new wave of zombie media, and you're of course gonna have some cheap cash grabs thrown in the mix, like Return of the Living Dead Necropolis. Now, Part 2 was made on a big budget and wasn't a hit, so Part 3 was made on a micro budget and still wasn't a hit. So what happens to the next sequels because of that? They become Sci-Fi Channel original movies, of course. You can't sink lower than that. Necropolis was actually the first of two Return of the Living Dead sequels made for Sci-Fi Channel, the other being Rave from the Grave, which continues the story of Necropolis. Both were released on October 15th, 2005, so they shot these sequels back-to-back in Eastern Europe, which is always really good news to hear about any horror sequels. Both of these Sci-Fi Channel Return of the Living Dead sequels were also written by William Butler, who started out in horror as an actor in flicks like Friday the 13th Part 7, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead remake, eventually becoming a writer and director because he wasn't cute anymore.
Why do you think I stopped acting and became a director?
Because you weren't cute anymore?
Apparently, after Return of the Living Dead 4 and 5 were completed, William Butler disowned them, which is saying something because he's the guy who wrote the Ginger Dead Man trilogy. If he says these movies suck, they have to really suck. Return of the Living Dead Necropolis and Rave from the Grave were also the final entries that series producer Tom Fox worked on. He died during their back-to-back production. Now, the exact circumstances behind Tom Fox's death are unknown to me, but I'm going to assume that after he saw a rough cut of Return of the Living Dead Necropolis, he hung himself. And I'll break down why I think that with my review of Return of the Living Dead Necropolis. But first I have a message from my sponsor, me. Pledge to my Patreon today to support the channel, help it continue to grow, and you'll also get access to weekly movie nights every Sunday and archive commentaries if you missed the movie nights live. Just $5 a month to get a movie night every week. Here are the movies I'll be streaming next Sunday. Pledge to patreon.com/Dr. Wolfula if you're interested in my bonus streams, and I thank you in advance.
Hybratech. Our diverse lines of goods and services makes your life safer.
Return of the Living Dead Necropolis begins with a corporate promo basically admitting right away this movie is ripping off Resident Evil by making its villain an evil corporation. Instead of Umbrella, though, Necropolis gives us Hybratech, which sounds like a company that makes printer ink cartridges. Hybratech is a defense contractor that also makes generic first-person shooters and pies, I guess.
High-tech games for home entertainment. And we make your favorite snack foods, too.
Now, the Return of the Living Dead series already had an evil corporation that this movie could have used, Darrow Chemical, which created 2,4,5-trioxin to begin with.
And the Darrow Chemical Company was trying to develop it for the Army.
I don't know why this sequel felt the need to invent a new evil company called Hybridtech. Maybe they didn't see the first movie. No, that's impossible.
Hybridtech is here to help when disaster strikes.
Anyway, one of Hybridtech's claims to fame is keeping the world zombie-free for a decade, unless you count Mickey Rourke,
There hasn't been a single zombie outbreak in over a decade.
and containing the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Speaking of which, the movie opens up in Chernobyl, which is lovely this time of year.
Natalia Lapina. She's the Russian Britney Spears.
It's here where some Ukrainian mafia guys are escorting American Hybridtech scientist Charles Garrison, played by Peter Coyote, who played that villainous government dude in E.T.
And you're sure they're here?
Garrison is in Chernobyl to retrieve 6 missing canisters of what is called in this movie Trioxin 5 instead of 2,4,5 trioxin. Continuity error or creative choice? You be the judge.
The last of the Trioxin 5 canisters.
Whilst retrieving the barrels, Nico here finds they weren't totally sealed and his hand looks like it's covered in Slimer jizz. Zombifying Nico and forcing him to throw a cuddle party for his boss. The boss's gun is knocked over to Garrison, and now he's gonna have to find some other Ukrainian mooks to move the canisters for him. Fuck! Okay, well, we cut away to a couple driving on a rainy road when suddenly they encounter an average truck driver and immediately end up dying in a car crash. We know they're dead because they briefly turn into skeletons to represent that they're dead. I wasn't totally sure if they were dead or not. Thankfully, the movie turned them into skeletons because I would have been lost. It's here with a cliched alarm clock smack that we meet the film's main character, the son of that dead couple, sideburn sporting dipshit Julian Garrison, and he really needs to put some goddamn pants on.
Pyro, you're gonna be late for school.
We also meet Julian's younger brother Jake, aka Pyro, who fittingly builds flamethrowers in his spare time.
You're gonna burn the whole house down.
I could start with your room if you like.
This kid tells you not to go to school tomorrow. You better listen to him.
You know, if Mom and Dad were still alive.
But they're not, are they?
After the death of their parents, Julian and Pyro live with their Uncle Charles, aka the Hybridtech scientist we met back in Chernobyl.
I heard Hybridtech is sponsoring one of the monster trucks for the big rally next week.
Really?
And hopefully, based on the way he just stares creepily, Charles is not the bad touch kind of uncle. As Julian heads out for school, we meet his special friend Becky.
Hi, Julian!
No, look out for that!
And she doesn't just wear that helmet while bike riding.
How many bikes is that this month?
I don't know, 4?
Later at the very American Lincoln High, we meet the remainder of Julian's crew of walking, talking stereotypes played by actors in their mid-20s and really pushing the mid. You got the sweet life of Zeke and Cody here, demonstrating their masculinity with a slap fight.
Yeah, I got my hands full teaching this bitch a lesson.
They're gonna get written up by an administrator if they keep this up. You have Katie, who just broke up with Zeke. I wonder why.
I smell like bomb water.
There's Mimi Romero, a gymnast and whore, who's also going to Farley University with Cody next year.
Got accepted to Farley University.
No way.
Chris Farley would be so honored to know they named a college after him.
Hybridtech. They create almost everything from processed cheese to napalm.
During class, the teacher, who looks the same age as her students, gives a lecture on how Hybridtech's advances come with certain setbacks.
You cannot make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. Hey, where are you going?
Julian's parents were 2 of the volunteers that died last year at Hybridtech. They were in a car wreck.
No, Julian is just bummed out being reminded of how expensive eggs have gotten.
She didn't know.
They've been on my mind a lot lately. It's been really hard on my brother, too.
In the evening, Professor Diabolical, Uncle Charles, uses trioxin to bring a Party City Halloween decoration to life. Oh no! The next day, Julian and the rest of the Rangers do some dirt bike stunts while they wait for a call from Zordon. But Zeke tries to egg Julian on into making a 6 stunt jump.
I want to see Chucklehead finally get it right.
Emasculating Julian further by noting that even Pyro did it.
Yeah, look at Pyro. He did it, and he's a little kid.
But Julian can't bring himself to do anything cool in this movie. He doesn't deserve those sideburns.
What are you doing?
The cooler Zeke shows how easy the stunt is himself, but gets greedy trying to pull off an Akira slide, suffering a concussion in the process.
He's just unconscious.
Meanwhile, Uncle Charles successfully brings SLC Punk back to life. But unknowingly, the fumes from this experiment are exhausted on a pair of bums, Joey and Krusty.
Joe. Yeah? You're right there, partner. They don't call me Krusty for nothing.
Krusty doesn't take baths just so he can keep his cool nickname. Later, Krusty rotisserie cooks a rat the size of a Jack Russell Terrier, making me really miss Boston Market. But when the cooked rat bites Krusty instead of the other way around, Krusty tries to alert his fellow hobo, who goes in for the kiss. Later, Julian tries to visit Zeke in the hospital.
Zeke Borden.
Was a Mr. Borden admitted to you today?
But is informed by the Slavs running the joint that Zeke's dead, baby. Zeke's dead.
Mr. Borden had an unexplained reaction to the painkillers that were given to him. He was pronounced dead.
They must have found out he didn't have insurance. That's American healthcare for you. Except that Zeke's ex Katie, a 17-year-old who for some reason works as a security guard at Hybridtech, sees via surveillance footage Zeke being taken into Hybridtech.
He's at Hybridtech. He's not dead.
And this can mean only one thing. Looks like the gang's got another mystery on their hands.
It's a conspiracy.
Well, we're about to find out.
While searching Hybridtech's homepage for clues, the gang runs into a dead end.
No access.
But luckily, Cody has a CD that can magically hack any website through a command prompt.
Bingo.
We're in. The gang learns about a medical initiative spearheaded by Hybridtech called Necropolis.
What's Necropolis?
And that their friend Zeke is being held captive in the facility.
Now I say we go in and get him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a total dickhead to everybody, but they gotta break him out. And when you're breaking into a high-tech, multi-billion-dollar facility, you need to properly prepare. Like crudely pasting your photo onto an ID badge without changing anything else. Seamless. You need lots of rope, I imagine, you know, for stuff. You need weapons, too, like nunchucks. Never not dorky. And Becky's taser was gathering dust since she bought it. You need headlamps in case you need to go into a spooky cave. And don't forget the walkie-talkies. This is gonna be the funnest slumber party ever. No, wait, they're trying to break into an evil laboratory. I don't care how hard the song is that you put over them. There's nothing you can do to make these characters seem cool after this montage. Meanwhile, the gang's woman on the inside prepares for her friend's arrival, but has to deal with her totally not Slavic superior, Hector, here.
So, why are you working tonight?
Rack up a little OT. Saving for Christmas.
Oh, Christmas is cool.
Yeah, Christmas is cool. You know what else is cool? Solitaire. In the tunnels beneath Hybridtech, Cody gets into an accident much like Zeke did, but isn't concussed because the story doesn't call for it.
Cody, what happened?
What the story does call for, though, is some fucking zombies for once, as the gang encounters the undead Krusty and Joey asking for change.
Brain.
I'm sorry, I mean brains. This isn't that South Park episode.
Change? I don't have any change!
Cody tries to fight the zombies with nunchucks like a moron, but luckily Carlos brought an actual weapon with him, a fucking gun. They didn't even know they were zombies. Yeah, unlike the previous films, the zombies in Necropolis can actually be killed by shooting them in the head. Now, it can be argued this film using Trioxin 5 instead of the 245 variant is an explanation of why the zombies are weaker and generic, but I think the more likely explanation is that the makers of this sequel just didn't see the first movie. Which is a shame, because that's a really cool movie.
I thought you said if we destroyed the brain, it'd die. It worked in the movie!
Meanwhile, Katie goes off on her break.
Nice pooper.
Hector, she's 17, you sick fuck. And speaking of which, Mimi, another teenager taking one for the team, enters the security room looking to seduce Hector.
Ever get your freak on with a triple-jointed Sagittarian gymnast?
And that's how Hector got chlamydia. With the security room finally free, Katie returns to guide her compatriots through the facility.
I don't know how long Mimi can keep Hector busy, so hurry up.
Knowing Hector, he's gonna be finished in 12 seconds, but there'll be at least 15 minutes of crying afterwards, so they should be good. The gang pulls a Die Hard and starts crawling through Hybridtech's air ducts. It's a good thing vents in movies are always big enough for humans to crawl through. After seeing some movement in the ducts, Carlos tries to further sate his bloodlust.
Don't shoot!
But the gang discovers Julian's kid brother Pyro tagged along.
Just stay behind me and you won't get hurt.
I'm sure Pyro will be incredibly helpful and won't regret coming along.
Where the hell are we?
The gang walks into another family reunion as they're discovered by Julian's Uncle Charles, who was lurking in the shadows to make a dramatic entrance. Always cool.
What the hell are you kids doing here?
Charles begrudgingly shows his nephews and their friends Hybridtech's Necropolis, which looks like one of those hallways the Scooby Gang gets chased in. It's revealed that Hybridtech has been hoarding, well, hordes of zombies.
Oh my god!
This would be the weakest Halloween Horror Nights house ever. Amidst the zombies, though, the gang finds their friend Zeke, who looks slightly better than the zombies.
Just in case you haven't noticed yet, dude, your uncle sucks.
Hopefully Julian doesn't know how much his uncle sucks, or they're gonna need to get Child Protective Services involved.
Get him out of there.
I don't have access.
Uncle Charles is unable to free Zeke, but luckily Hybrid Tech plays by Star Wars rules, so when you shoot a door's control panel, it opens. I could use that when I forget my keys.
You set an alarm off and the police are gonna be notified in 10 minutes.
After springing Zeke, the gang discovers some further crimes against nature. Hybrid Tech is cloning Jada Pinkett Smith.
What is all this for?
Isn't it obvious? World domination.
Okay, usually the villain will dance around trying to rule the world, but I appreciate his cartoonish honesty.
Ask him what really happened to your folks, Jules. I bet he knows the truth.
Uncle Charles also reveals that he kinda sorta stole the corpses of Julian's parents for experiments.
The company exhumed them for further testing.
But uncles are weird like that.
Just say the word, Jules, and I'll whack him right now.
Okay, we get it, Carlos. You really want to kill another guy. Go be a psycho somewhere else. The gang is distracted by how cute the zombie clones are, allowing Charles to make his escape. Luckily, every door in Hybrid Tech can be opened by shooting the control panel. Seems like a massive security flaw, but then again, teens can hack their website with a CD, so they're really not on top of things.
Oh no, not again.
Adding to Hybrid Tech's problems, while Katie attempts to end the security alert,
Shit!
she kinda sorta lets all the zombies in the Necropolis loose in the facility, and as the gang tries to escape, Darren gets his brains eaten. Oh no! Not Darren! He didn't have any dialogue in the movie, but he didn't deserve to go out like that. Zeke winds up with a love bite of his own, but luckily the elevator leads directly to Hybrid Tech's armory. These weapons aren't as good as Cody's nunchucks, but they'll get the job done. Elsewhere, in what looks like an Apple Genius bar, another security guard, Garcia over here, demonstrates an extreme case of sexual harassment by giving his teen coworker a call while jacking off.
We're in the middle of running a system check.
I'd like to run one on you, baby.
Kinda got my hands full.
So do I.
Luckily, the zombies cut things short, and Garcia's desk ends up covered with a different bodily fluid for a change.
Hello?
Send more security guards.
They can't come up with anything new that's good, but hey, they can at least reference things that were good.
Send more paramedics.
The gang ends up getting split up in the air ducts because it was getting too hard to write for a group of 6 characters at once.
This keycard will get us into the North Tower. I got your back, Jules.
This is some video game ass shit. This movie makes the FMVs in the original Resident Evil look like a masterpiece. Meanwhile, Katie finds her friend Mimi after Mimi eagerly surrendered to Hector every hole God drilled into her body.
Turns out, he doesn't care. Let's go!
She did it just for the love of the game. Tired from all the sex they had, though, the unlikely couple becomes easy prey for the undead. It's not the first time Hector's been eaten alive tonight. The zombies aren't much of a challenge for Julian's crew, but they run out of ammo.
I'm out of ammo! Me too!
Okay, maybe they can check the zombies' corpses. Sometimes enemies drop ammo.
It's game time.
I guess game time means all 3 of these dudes turn into Leon S. Kennedy, suddenly remembering their training as Power Rangers, but Carlos gets too into it and pays the price for it. Carlos is killing people up in heaven now. Oh, not holding the elevator door for somebody is so rude. Upstairs, Uncle Charles is jumped by some zombies, but luckily even shooting these zombies in the chest kills them. The zombies in this series went from being the hardest to kill to the easiest in one movie. Meanwhile, in the Hybrid Tech parking garage, Becky, Zeke, and Pyro attempt to escape in one of the cars, but a zombie complicates things, and Katie is forced to tase Pyro to save him. No worries, a guy named Pyro is gonna have to get used to being tased by women in parking garages. During the drive, much to everyone's further shock,
Damn, my hair feels like it's on fire.
Zeke is turned into a zombie. A zombie that's really easy for a girl and a child to hold off, but still. And zombie Zeke causes Becky to crash in a fiery explosion. That car must have had a Galaxy Note 7 in the glove compartment. Upstairs, Julian discovers what he feared most has come to pass.
Mom?
His parents were turned into Borg. No! Wait, this is a Star Trek movie?
Come on, man. There's nothing you can do right now. I'm not gonna leave them here. They're my parents.
You gotta let them go.
Julian and Corey leave, rappelling down the building. How do they know how to do all this shit? And Uncle Charles finally unleashes his creations with the sole purpose of eliminating all STARS officers. No way, wrong thing. Back outside, Julian is faced with the ultimate predicament.
Aimee?
Killing the first person he ever fucked.
Man, shoot her, man! She's my friend. I lost my virginity to her.
But fortunately, Katie makes things easy for him.
Come on, you guys, let's go!
Somehow, Becky and Pyro survive being blown up, but Pyro doesn't live for much longer as Zeke eats the boy's brains. But Pyro didn't have much brains to begin with anyway. Becky thinks fast and actually effectively uses Pyro's flamethrower instead of just waving it around slightly.
Jake!
Julian is heartbroken, losing yet another family member, but he's got worse problems on his hands as another family member of Julian wants to lose him. Julian's zombie dad with minigun arms, but Julian's dad is no match for a little blonde bitch with a grenade. The survivors ultimately end up faced by KFZ, Kentucky Fried Zeke.
I was right. You've been macking on my girlfriend.
Who's more interested in evil monologuing about his ex than eating brains for some reason.
Let me introduce you to my new friend.
Zeke is joined by Julian's zombie mom. Julian has her eyes, but unfortunately he doesn't have her sick buzzsaw hands. Okay, what kind of zombie gets into a fist fight? Just eat his fucking brains already. Luckily for Becky, she tricks Zombie Mom into swinging her blades into a convenient electrical transformer, and Julian's mom becomes a Zilf. Zombie I'd like to fry. Julian himself easily beat Zeke by pulling the pin off a grenade Zeke forgot he put in his shirt pocket earlier. You gotta love plot contrivances. Speaking of which, a SWAT team arrives just as everything is resolved anyway, and they easily wipe out the remaining zombie threat. Man, if only they showed up 20 minutes earlier, but they got stuck in traffic. Things seem to be going smoothly, except Julian's zombie dad still has some fight left in him. But no, the SWAT team's tank has everything handled. I mean, it's a tank. Ending the movie on a positive note, Katie was caught in the crossfire and dies a painful death because the actress was in One Tree Hill and they couldn't afford to bring her back in the sequel. In the aftermath, Uncle Charles leaves Hypertech with some trioxin barrels just as a souvenir. A news anchor later reports that the entire situation is under control.
The situation is now under control and there is no threat to the surrounding community.
Wait, that doesn't seem under control at all. Fake news! During the credits, the movie shows some behind the scenes from the making of the film, and well, at least it looks like it was more fun to make than it was to watch. I mean, zombies pissing in a urinal? Doesn't get funner than that. Return of the Living Dead Necropolis is unsurprisingly a really shitty sequel. The writing is awful, the production looks like a porno, and it barely has anything to do with its predecessors, with the zombies made weak and generic. It feels less like Return of the Living Dead and more like it just cribs from whatever zombie media was popular 20 years ago. It just fucking sucks. I give Return of the Living Dead Necropolis a Julian's Parents is Borg out of Julian's Parents is Skeletons.
I'm pissed at you, dude. You've been macking on my girlfriend.
I'm back, sir.
Goulash, were you able to find help out there?
I tried, but all the people I encountered outside the mall tried to shoot at me. It seems like for whatever reason, they thought I was a zombie.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I don't think the situation can get any worse.
You are so fucked. This video is made possible through the pledges of my Patreon supporters, and I'd like to give a very special thanks to the kind folks pledged to my shoutouts tier. All of their support on Patreon means a lot to me, and it helps my dark influence continue to grow. If you liked this video, like it, and if you loved it, click the subscribe and bell buttons for more videos. Be sure to also keep in touch by following me on social media at Dr. Wolfula. While I still have your attention, consider pledging to my Patreon to support the channel and get bonus content like private movie night streams with me and credits in my videos. Consider pledging at patreon.com/Dr. Wolfula. Also, check out official Dr. Wolfula merch on tpublic.com/user/Dr. Wolfula. Thanks for watching. Dr. Wolfula signing out.